of them were people in their lives more than the actors or actresses or whatever. And it just talked about how the real role models, like when you look at stars or people out there or people that you want to be, it just talked about mostly we're attracted to their inner beauty and what they're all about, whether it's, you cry watching Gandhi or Mother Teresa or any of that sort of stuff. But I just thought that was cool, that we need to not emulate, certain people and maybe emulate those that are making good things happen. So that's where we were last time.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So the next section in the book, again, if you recall, Exercises for the Soul it's about like all of these different topics, and it's about how to do a little activity to make the most of that topic. So one of them was talking about compliments and how important it is to be giving compliments. And I know that comes from, how to win friends and influence people too. But, when you meet somebody, it kind of talks about the importance of you really finding out what's really good or what they're doing for you and giving them some form of appreciation that's real and genuine, and how that can just totally change somebody's day. And I got to tell you guys, for those of you that watch, that watch our little shindig here, when you guys send Jenny a message and you tell her how good she's doing, how excited do you get?
I get super excited.
She really does.
I really do. And I don't even know what to say. I get more excited than I should.
You're like, people like me.
They really do.
But the best part about it is it's genuine. Like if people are taking the time to send you a compliment, it's because they really believe it, So I thought that was pretty cool. So number one is giving compliments. And it's just funny how a small compliment can make such a big difference.
100%.
And have you ever said something to someone and then all of a sudden a year later they say, well, do you remember when you told me? And you're like, wow, it didn't even register to me that what I said had such a big impact on them.
Yeah.
And it is weird that paying a compliment gives you such a big surge of energy. And I thought that, and I cannot see can you see the people on your screen right now?
I can. Maybe I should give you my computer.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So I just want to ask, tell me a couple of the people that are live right there.
Dana, Denise, Rob.
Okay, Dana, I'm going to go with you. Is Dana paying attention?
Yes, she is.
Okay, good. So Dana, I want you to do me a favor, and I want you to pay Jenny an honest and genuine compliment.
Oh, I actually have one. Perfect. Oh my God, I look so good. Thank you. Jenny, I have no idea how old you are, but you look so young to have so old of children and grandchildren. And I'm completely jealous of your life with your grandkids.
Oh, thank you so much.
Now let me ask you this. How did that feel, Jenny?
It feels awkward.
But underneath it all?
But beautiful. It's wonderful because I know Dana isn't the type to throw those around.
Okay, so Dana, how did it feel to pay Jenny that compliment?
I really liked it, and I've been waiting to pay Jenny that compliment because every time I see her on Facebook, I just think like, oh my God, how does she look so good? And she has like grandbabies that old.
Right. So that's kind of the point. Is like it's a win-win with a compliment because you felt good and then Dana felt good.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the point.
Good.
The point of this exercise is, it just says, by giving encouragement or whatever, and also a compliment, the way they define a compliment in the book is it's not just like, oh my God, you look so young or this or that. It's also like, you can do this. It also talks about encouragement being a form of a compliment because by me saying like, if you are challenged with something, by me saying like, Jenny, you're going to kill this. I know you will. That is also a compliment because it's basically telling you, I know you're capable of doing anything.
Or are you mind-ninjing me?
No.
Right, right? Do you guys always wonder, do they really think you can kick ass? Or are they like just trying to...
Wow, look how cynical you are. You're so cynical. Jeez.
I don't mean to be. I'm just curious.
It's all right. So that being the case, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's a good one. And the recommendation, the exercise in this one is to consciously give 3 compliments a day.
Okay, write it down.
Consciously give 3 compliments a day. And the other thing is, and I learned this from a really good friend of mine, is that when someone pays you a compliment, the proper answer is thank you. So if somebody says, Jenny, you look like you've been losing weight, you look great. Oh, I don't look, That's not the answer.
Okay.
When somebody says, Jenny, you look great, you look like you've been losing weight, I can tell you've been going to the gym, the answer should be, thank you, I appreciate that. Okay. Because a lot of us like push off that compliment as if it's not real. And it's kind of like almost an unhealthy thing to do. But
yeah.
So I thought that was
We're going to write that down too.
Yes, let's do that. Okay. The next thing we talked about, or it talks about in the book, one of the next items is the word motivation. And motivation is something that we beat to death on this show, right? I mean, isn't it called Monday Morning Motivation?
Yes.
Okay. So it talks about motivation, and really the kicker with motivation is there are those days where you don't feel like getting up and you don't feel like getting going. Do you ever have those? Oh, yeah. Where you're just like, oh, I don't know. What am I going to do? You know, I don't think I want to do this today. And some days they're just plain difficult to get up and do anything. And the key is to find out what motivates you, right? So, and each one of us have a different type, you know, and I don't know, and I've really noticed this in kids. You know what I mean? So like, I know, you know, Brian's got kids, everybody's got kids. And it's funny because each one of them are motivated by a different thing. 100%. Trevor, my oldest, is completely different than Ryan. I mean, if you use the same Mind Ninja techniques on Trevor that you do on Ryan, it's going to blow up. And it has. So, you know, but the big question is, you know, what motivates you and what do you need? Do you need inner passion? Just throwing that out there. Are you just born with it? Or do you need to be helping others? Positive reinforcement work for you? Negative reinforcement work for you? No. You know, so like what works for you motivation wise?
It has to be positive. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the show The Biggest Loser. Like, Jillian would never have worked for me. I could never have gone into the military. Or like when we were watching football this week and my husband started laughing, I'm like, why are you laughing? He's like, because I can only imagine if you made a mistake and everyone's yelling at you, like, you should have did this, you should, and I would just cry. So it has to be positive for me. Otherwise I shut down.
Okay. Well, and everybody's different, right?
Right.
I mean,
I want to know who does negative. Who does anyone like? Shouldn't say negative. Like hardcore parkour.
Well, you know what? It's. I always say like when we had when Mike Ferry was on the Friday, and then you had Tom Ferry. It's like one is a coach, and the other is a drill sergeant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, so which one do you need? The coach, or do you need the drill sergeant? You know, hey Michael, can you sign me in on this, buddy?
And which one do you do? What one works best for you?
You know, for me, I would have to say the coach. Like I like to be coached. And if anybody got negative with me, I drop them like a bad habit. Like, because that's part of my mantra stuff is I don't like to be around negative people.
Yeah.
You know, so the positive reinforcement is everything. So that's just, you know, I mean, does anybody out there, but there are times even when adults, like I've seen Margaret scold people and they go right out and they do it and they fix it.
Oh, true story.
You know what I mean?
True story.
And usually, you know, like, because usually whatever she's pointing out, you're like, you're right, that was a bad decision. I've seen Ken Bernard, our attorney, do it. You know, things like that too, where you're like, okay, my mistake, you know, and then you just go suck it up. And, you know, sometimes people can turn us into little kids.
Immediately.
So, and the other one that says, you know, that can really motivate us is fear. Fear is the great motivator. And I remember we had an agent who was number one. I think he did like $700,000. This was back in 2007. And I sat down with an interview with him. And I asked him, I said, you know, Reggie, why, like, what motivates you? Why are you just killing it this year? And he said, because of fear. And I said, fear. And I said, so your motivation is fear? He goes, absolutely. He goes, I wake up with it. I go to bed with it. And I said, what are you afraid of? And he said, going broke. And I'm like, I mean, that is literally his fear, is going broke.
Yeah.
And you know, again, it's just different for everybody. And I do think like other things that motivate, like Chris Hansen. Chris likes to buy boats and do this and do that. He says like, Chuck, I need all that pressure on me to make sure that I perform at my top level. So some people, I mean, he's got all these, you know, different things he wants to buy and things he wants to do and pressure on him, but he loves that pressure. Yeah. That's the motivator for him. But it's just different things motivate different people. And there was a cool little story in the book I thought I'd share.
Okay.
So there was this guy that he would get off work, and in the winter when he'd get off work, it was dark, you know, just like it is now. And so, but every day to get home, he would cut across the cemetery, right? So one time he was cutting across the cemetery, and it wasn't marked. Right in the middle of it was a grave that he fell in, right? And it's like, what, 7 feet deep, 8 feet deep? So he falls in it, and he's doing everything he can to climb, and, you know, but it's squared out, and he can't get up. And so he's like, what am I going to do? You know, he tries and tries and tries, and eventually he goes, well, as much as the nightmare as this is, I'm going to have to wait until morning for somebody to get here to help me. And then an hour later, you know, he starts falling asleep, you know, kind of takes a nap there. An hour later, somebody else comes along and falls in the grave with him. And when they fall in the grave, you know, the person that falls in, the guy, he just starts like climbing, trying to get out. And he wakes up and he's like, hey, you know, he goes, you're not going to be able to get out of here. You're stuck in this grave. You know, and the guy's like, holy shit, you know, because he thought it was a dead guy, and he like climbed out and he got himself out. You know, like, so basically like you get that little surge of motivation that, if you probably thought like somebody was coming back from the dead to keep you in a grave, you'd probably get out too.
Yeah.
So, but it was just about motivation. The first guy was kind of like, I can't really get out of here. The other guy was so scared, that he could. And it is amazing, what motivation stuff can do, because I know my son flipped a golf cart with like 5 kids in it. And thank you. And he lifted that golf cart. He was really young, but he lifted that golf cart off everybody. You ever heard of that? Like,
usually it's a mom's power or something, but you get that surge. I can save people. You have to.
Yeah.
If you have to do something, you can do it.
For sure. And it's just, something different motivates everybody, And that guy... The guy that got out didn't help the other guy out? What's the deal? Well, he technically did, Adam. He technically did help. So, again, everybody has, their different motivators. And, I'm going to ask you, Duffy, real quick, what motivates you? What do you think is the biggest thing that makes you get up, jump on the calls, go to work, make the phone calls? What's your biggest motivator?
Well, I like you and Jenny. I prefer being coached than being cajoled or beat with a stick. So the carrot always works better for me. But I will say that fear also is a big motivator. It's that wanting to provide for my family, to have them live a lifestyle that is one that we like, and but more importantly, to live a lifestyle that provides them with a sense of security. So agreed. Those are big motivators for me.
Agreed. And I think people. I think there's a big difference. This isn't a shot to anybody, but there is a big difference too once you have kids, because you can see people change from being that selfish kind of I'm going to the river this week and doing this and that to like boom, being serious because they have somebody to take care of too. So kids can be a motivator too, right?
I have a friend, and some of us on the call may know her. She started in Hemet with Jen and I, and she now is at the beach. She had a goal. She divorced her husband. She's like, no, I want to do bigger and better things. Never has had children. She is one of the top producers out at the beach, and so her motivation, I don't think she always had, I will care for myself. I'm going to make sure I never. So like you said,
she's got that go-getterness.
Yeah, and I guess it's a different fear for her when you don't have children, because everyone doesn't,
Oh, for sure.
We all have different paths.
For sure. So I thought that was a cool little section, just trying to figure out what motivates you. And that's the hard part, is trying to determine. And again, one of the big things that I mentioned this before, but I remember we were doing a gig at the Mission Inn. We did a mid-year at the Mission Inn. Were you there?
Yes.
Okay, and I remember I was going to talk about motivation, and I was going to talk about inspiration and like the mindset of a top producer. Like that's really what I was trying to do. And I was trying to figure out the big question, which I've talked about before here, but the big question being, are you born a charger? Are you born someone that's going to be a top producer? Are you born someone that just has that innate desire to be somebody special and make something special happen? I'm talking about business-wise, just that section, okay, not everything else.
Yeah.
Or is it something that can be developed? And I remember one of our top producers saying, you can't talk about that. And I said, well, why? And they said, because you're either born with it or you're not.
Oh.
And they said that, you're either born a charger and going to be successful or you're not going to be. And I disagreed with them because I think, and we're going to get a little bit further into it, but a lot of top producers are top producers because they have hangups.
Okay.
That's kind of my thought. And I don't want to just call it a hang-up, but like a moment or things that occurred in their life that they basically said, nuh-uh.
Yeah,
no.
Yes, totally.
No, I am not going to, like, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about story, right?
Yeah.
Out in the beach.
Yes, yeah.
Well, it's just, you hit that point where it's like those 1 or 2 or 3 things that hit you in your lifetime that said, I'm not going to be broke. I'm not going to be poor. I'm going to work my ass off. I'm not going to have my kids raised the same way I was. This, that, the other, whatever.
Yeah.
Each person has that different motivation. So I do think that it's about cashing in on your moments.
I love that.
You agree though?
I love that, because I was like, what's the right answer?
Well, I was nervous, but I just know, like, I could talk to anybody on this call and I could say, what was your turning point? What was the big moment? Like for Brian, he said, hey, I was CHP for all those years. I was sitting there and all of a sudden I decided I wanted to go help people again and serve again. You know what I mean? Like when he decided that, wherever he was, that was his moment.
Yeah, he took 3 months off work. That was it.
Yeah, he did the SpongeBob, where he went to the Fish Hook Museum, and by the end of the afternoon, four. By the end of the afternoon, SpongeBob wanted to buy his business back, or Mr. Krabs, so like he was going to retire, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, so I'm going to move on.
Okay.
And if anybody has anything to add, please feel free to chime in. The next thing was being an activist. And I thought this was interesting. This is just, it's a plethora of topics. It's not following this path. It's just
Okay.
101 different things. So the next one was being an activist and being a volunteer and being involved in something. And there was a little quote in there that I wanted to read. And it basically said, "You may choose not to hear your spirit. You may prefer to build a life within the compound to avoid risk. It is possible to find happiness with a familiar box, a life of comfort and control. Period. Or you may choose to be open to new experiences, to leave the limits of your conditioning, to hear the call." Now here's to hear the call. Now here it is. "Then you must act. If you never hear it, you never hear the call of what you're supposed to do or who you're supposed to help or what that is, then perhaps nothing is lost. However, if you hear it and ignore it, your life is lost."
Ugh.
So if you get that call and you know what you're supposed to be doing out there in the world volunteer-wise, or even in the back of your mind, you know what things you should be participating in or feel it, and you don't act on it, then unfortunately your life is lost. And it's almost like those people, because I think there's two types of people in the world. I could be wrong, but there are the people that know why they're here. They know what they want to do. They know their purpose. They were put here for a reason. And then there's the people that are still trying to figure it out, right? But the people that know what they're here for and don't act on it, painful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? According to most everything, if you know what you're supposed to be doing and you're not doing it,
Yeah.
So anyways, that's being an activist. And bottom line is, just like how Dana gave you a compliment, when we help others, we help ourselves. Would you agree?
Yes.
And helping others adds great meaning to your life, and especially being involved with charitable organizations. And I know we have a lot of people on the call that have or are involved in something. Sonia has Oak Grove. I know Dana does a lot of things for a lot of people. And it's just really about finding your charitable cause and volunteering for it. And when you do volunteer, it says this, and I don't know how they could track this study, but people that volunteer for charitable organizations actually live longer and are healthier. Isn't that strange? So I thought that was interesting. So,
Well, they have purpose.
right.
It's right. And like when dogs live longer, they have a purpose. It's just like,
Makes sense.
That type of thing.
Makes sense. And, it says volunteering is more than changing your own personal circumstances. It fills you with energy.
Okay.
And it rewards you, from your ability to kind of spread love throughout the world, really, is what it's about, and to pay it forward. Who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody this weekend on the phone that's just loaded. And they were basically just saying, why do people like Bill Gates make billions and billions of dollars just at the end of their lives to give it all away? Why is Buffett doing the same thing? And the reason that they're doing all those things is because they figured it out. And what they figured out is that it's not about the money.
Right.
It's about making a difference and making an impact, and I think that goes with our businesses too. It's about putting other people, if we looked at all of our clients like charity cases, which sometimes we do work for free, so I guess they are charity cases.
Yeah, exactly.
On certain deals, then the money just comes, too. But if you put your clients first with this charity/volunteer mindset, I think that will make a difference. And that's kind of what the book is suggesting. And just a thought.
No, I agree. And I think it's about the journey. It's not about the end game. It's about, and I think when these someday maybe I'll know, but it's about the journey to get all the money too. What do we do? And then we want the people who follow us to have that same wonderful journey of getting all that money. So why not help other companies, if you will?
True. So have you ever been involved? It's okay. You can tell the truth. Do you have anything that you have a passion for in volunteers or charity or anything like that?
I send money.
Hey, that's something, right, guys?
Not a lot, but to us it's a lot. To others it's not.
I think it's great.
But yeah, we have family stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Family charities.
Cool. And I'm sure a lot of you guys do different things. And remember, we talked about that, Jenny. We were going to try to figure out what
we're gonna
charities and what I wanted to do, guys, is I wanted to create a little mini board where even if everybody in this company threw in $5 a deal, $5 a deal, and then we had a board of about 10 people,
right?
And those 10 people voted where we wanted to put money, or what things, and that's the problem with the golf tournament. The golf tournament disappeared because of COVID and all that stuff, but we were raising $20,000. And if you recall, we were sending teams of artificial, orthotists and prosthetists down to South America, Belize, and that was pretty great. But now, unfortunately, and that's something I've gotten away from too, is I have not been able to participate in that. But the big question is, what's the right service for you?
Right.
For you out there. Is there one?
Right.
Another one is, what skills do you have? Because I have seen a lot of people that join charitable organizations, and the next thing you know, they're sitting up on the roof, making a commercial of themselves during Habitat for Humanity instead of actually doing the work.
Exactly. And true work, you're not showing it.
Yeah, I mean, because they don't have any skills. They're just up there like enjoying the moment. It's like, and if they're donating money and raising money, that's cool.
Right. And maybe that was their gift.
Yeah.
To promote.
Hey, Chuck.
Yes.
Especially in this economic environment with COVID, I love that idea. I love being able to have whoever wants to volunteer to give and have Coldwell Banker provide donations to those local charities that need our help.
Yeah, I'm going to head that up. It was for January, and we're going to start it.
I love that. I think that's great, and we have our big meeting on Thursday, and we can see who wants to participate and who doesn't. And, the problem is some people are going to be like, oh, well, that's right, Kim Graham, the 100 Women Who Care.
I've been thinking about that, Kim.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've seen people go make the pitch and stuff too, but I love that idea. Maybe we can talk to see if people are interested, and maybe the company will match it or something too, and we can come up with some great ways to do it. So, and I know most of the times in charities, like I got involved in orthotics and prosthetics because Michelle was there, and that's what she was doing, so, and then, like I said, we went to Cuba, we went to Belize, went, 6 times South America, and it's a bummer because once that's gone, it's gone. But usually the point with that is that it's usually has to do with the special challenges that surround your family and friends, you individually, because all of a sudden, Christopher Reeves is cast out front, right? He goes from being Superman to being cast out front of, his situation and fighting for those rights and doing all those sorts of things. So it's usually something close to that. But animals, nursing homes, shelters, even the scouts. I mean, I know we have people on the call that are big sisters. I know a few people that are big sisters. What a difference. I've seen them actually take, their parents are, have issues or whatever. And I've seen big sisters inside this company bring the girls along to work, to meetings and stuff like that. And it's super cool. I mean, super cool. And you can tell those girls are just so happy to be getting, a taste of normalcy.
Right.
And, like I talked about before, how you look back and you think of those people that helped you along the way. Those big sisters, I think, are doing that. So anyways.
Awesome.
Yes. Okay. So the other thing, and it's getting a little altruistic here for a bit, and that's the way it is. But the next section is being a self-activist. And I thought this was kind of interesting. The book says, don't talk about just what you believe in. Don't sit here and rant and rave about Trump or rant and rave about Biden, and don't rant and rave about this or that. It says that the real goal in life to really make a difference is to focus. If you're going to be promoting things and talking about things, don't talk about those things, but focus on those that cannot speak for themselves. And that's like the real thing. It's like the Gandhis and the Mother Teresas and like the people that really made an impact, they spoke for the people that couldn't speak for themselves. And I thought that was big, and it just makes the world a more liberated and humane place.
I agree.
Is basically that word, is just being a self-activist. Because we get all caught up in like, well, I think this, and I need to keep my taxes down, and blah, 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 blah. But is that the best use of our time? I don't know. And I'm going to pick on somebody here in a minute, but we're moving on to some good stuff. All right. It got weird. Janie, it got weird. Okay, when I was reading the book, it got really weird. And it got into spiritual calisthenics, and it got into tarot cards, and it got into horoscopes, and the book got into all these different things. And this is the part that I kind of left out because it was just freaking me out a little bit. Should I have done it?
But some of us relate to that.
Tarot cards, all right.
I don't know. Christophe's laughing. So maybe it's just me. It's not just me. I've seen posts.
All right. Well, I did keep a couple sections.
Okay.
So one of the things that it talked about is spiritual calisthenics. Spiritual calisthenics is what it's called. And I really want to ask anybody on this call, how many of you guys, if anybody, meditates?
I've tried, and Kim England sent me this thing about how to meditate and this book. And
how'd it go?
As you could tell, I fell asleep every time.
Oh, well, yeah, I know.
I want to see. Isabel's laughing. Anyone else? Can you meditate? Do you know how? Mary Dimmler Long is on the call.
You think she's a meditator?
I don't know.
I am.
You are? Well, Darlene, you are? Oh, who was that? I'm sorry.
No, me.
Oh, Kayla.
Me, Kayla.
Hey, please do me a favor, Kayla. enlighten us all as to what meditation is all about now. And I have a definition, but I want to hear what yours is.
Meditating is just getting in touch with like your higher self and like spiritual. For me, that's helped me with my business because I don't know, it's just like this weird, cool feeling you get when you're just like in tune with yourself and happy with yourself, and you don't let other stuff bother you. So for me, it's like yeah, I love going to the gym, but like meditating and just getting in tune, it just literally helps me detox everything from the day, and it makes me happy. So that's how I do it.
Well, that's basic.
And there's different ways to do it.
Well, that's true.
You don't have to like sit in a closed room and like, you have to listen to gongs and stuff. I do like that stuff, but there's other ways to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to pick your brain one day.
Okay.
That's cool.
Well,
totally.
Okay, Kayla, then I'm going to hit you up on this, okay? Because, and I know that like the super stressed out, like hardcore, real go-getters in the planet all do it. Like the super high performing level athletes and actors and, there's so many different people that do it just to clear their mind. And I'm gonna, Kayla, this is what it says. It says that, and obviously it's been used for thousands of years, but it's been used to relax and connect with the divine is kind of what the book suggests. But I don't think it's divine. I think it's more just a method of connecting with your spiritual self a little bit and becoming more centered is kind of what Kayla's saying. And
yeah, like if you haven't seen that movie Soul, you need to watch it.
It's the new Disney one. That one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That like speaks like there's so many hidden meanings in there.
Soul. Okay, I like it. And
it looks amazing.
And you know what? We should all listen to Kayla because Kayla is Kayla's 28, 29, and
a rock star.
Doing almost $500,000 a year, in sales. And I mean, she's so like I think that does have to do with your mindset, Kayla, obviously. And it says that the point of meditation is to find inner peace and a higher level of awareness of the things that are going on around you. And I like
so it's like you have to go to bed with awareness in your heart. So like that's what meditating before bed does. Instead of going to bed like frustrated or confused with your clients, like you need to go to sleep like 20 minutes before you go to bed. You need to think of all the things that make you happy, and that makes you feel the awareness in your heart that you wake up in a better mood.
I love that.
That's good.
I love that.
I sound crazy, but it works.
No.
Well, we all know you're crazy. It's okay.
It works.
All it is, everybody, I can see everybody taking notes right now. Okay, 20 minutes before I go to bed. I like it. So a couple other things it says, Kayla, is, incorporate one style, and everybody does it differently. It could be sitting quietly, with your eyes closed, just alone, and I have been to like some of the really, really nice houses, and they have almost a meditation room.
Right.
And some have like, altars and all kinds of stuff where that's how serious they take it. But others aren't like that. Others incorporate physical movement or exercises. I'm sure you've seen people like moving around. Some includes walking, sitting, listening to music, or reading words of wisdom or whatever. It's just really that time that's self-reflection and it's for you. And I think that's kind of what Kayla's saying is it's a higher level of consciousness. So that's meditation.
Okay.
Anybody else have any comments on meditation? Janie, have you ever done it? Yes. Do you still do it?
Yeah, I still do.
Wow.
It's really, I learned it, 20 years ago. It's like you release from your feet up, and it's good. You like all the energy, and it just goes up to your feet, and you just make yourself weightless, and you keep going up your whole body, and then you make it go through your whole entire body, and then through your arms and through your head, and then at the end, you just feel like weightless and just, I don't know, kind of like Kayla said, you're just kind of freeing of a lot of whatever negative energy, or just not even negative energy, just what you're everything.
Yeah. You know what? This is the kind of stuff we should be doing. Instead, we just walk around stressed out, yelling at each other. I mean, I like that. Thank you. And I just saw that some people are just kind of chiming in and saying, I do it by painting. I think it's just really about that alone time and becoming centered, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Sonia runs every morning. I mean, for me, as crazy as it sounds, I think mine is in the shower. I have my mantra in there, and I think and I plan out everything that I'm going to do for that day. Somebody just said Netflix has a guide to meditation, too. That might be interesting. So if you guys like this topic, we can do a little bit more homework on it and maybe just show a couple different shows and stuff, which might be cool.
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing it talked about was, and I think they're tied together, is communicating with the divine. And, the book I told you, it goes into tarot cards and you know, all kinds of different stuff. You know, some of it, whatever. I like that topic because it's fun. You know, it's like fortune cookies and stuff too. But it says, you know, to pray. And I do think that no matter what, I don't care who you are, prayer is powerful, and we all know that. And we talked about it last time, that generally the times that we pray is when we're in trouble, when we have a tough situation, and we don't do it when times are good. We do it only when we need something, which is not fair.
No. Oh, that's a good way to put it. Not fair.
It's not fair.
Right.
I mean, if you only go to mom for money, you know what I mean? That just doesn't seem right. So it suggests two things in the book, and I liked it. It says to pray for those that you care about. You know, like be thankful. And I'm sure all of you guys, when you pray for your kids, you pray for your friends, you pray for those around you. You know, shoot, you could pray for your dog, you know, when your dog was sick. I mean, I bet you did, you know, so like all those different things. But it also suggests that you pray for those that are making your life difficult.
Oh, 100%. 100%. My grandma used to say, like, if somebody's irritating you or whatever, and it was not just bless their heart, you know, it was bless them. I bless you. I pray for you, you know, literally, not, oh, bless her heart, she's so stupid, you know, but truly.
Well, I mean, and it says that so if you've got that client from hell, you know what I mean? Or, you know, you're doing that loan from hell or whatever, the kicker with it is, or the kid, if you're a teacher, right? Whatever it may be, the kicker is that the book suggests that when you do pray for the people that are making your life difficult, it helps, number one, for you to find forgiveness. And number two, it allows you to understand a little bit more of where they're coming from. When you just say, you know what, dear God, Michael's a pain in my ass, and I would like to do, you know, I mean, like, I'm not, you know, I'm just saying, like,
No, I know.
it would tell me why he is, you know, and it helps give you some clarity. So it just suggests that, you know, you incorporate prayer into your daily life. That's one of the things that was in my mantra this year, is that every day when I read it in the shower, it tells me to take a minute and do that, because I forget. I don't know about you guys, but we get so caught up in life, and the churches are closed and everything, that just by having something somewhere in your house, it reminds you to take a minute and to do so. So I thought that was cool.
I like it.
So let me see if there was anything else on that. No? Okay. So now it's getting really serious.
More?
You ready?
More serious?
More serious. This is going to get deep.
I love it.
So what is your role? And this is the question that it asks in the next exercise. And the exercise is this. If you were the right hand of God, and you were put on this earth to do his bidding or his will, okay, for 10 days, you are the right hand of God on earth for 10 days. What would he want you to do or say?
First, I keep thinking, isn't there somebody more qualified? That's all I keep thinking. Isn't there somebody more qualified than me?
Isn't there somebody more qualified?
No, I don't know.
But it's what would, that's just, that's
a
just
good,
the question is, what would he want you to
think?
do or say? And I think, well, the book suggests, ask yourself, how can I help? How can I make a difference? And how can I truly act in the capacity that he would want me to? And then the next question, of course, as always, why am I not doing it? Right?
Truth.
And
Even
it's just, I think, because we get caught up, So it's just an interesting little piece. So what is your role? Okay, now we're going to move on to the next thing.
Okay.
Fear. Remember we talked about that at the beginning? And I would like to open this up to a couple of you guys, but although it's really personal, like when I started thinking about it, it was super personal to me because when I was reading this section, it says, you know, what are your fears that are holding you back? So most commonly, it's dying, losing a job, getting a divorce. You know, it's those sorts of things. But what's the biggest thing defining your fear is the question. And I'm not asking you to answer that. I'm just telling you to think about it.
Oh, you're not going to throw me on the spot today?
No, I wouldn't do that. Not on this one. If it wasn't so personal, I would.
Oh, sure. Thursday wasn't personal?
Well,
okay.
hey, you wanted to sit here. So visualizing, you know, helps us. So visualizing, you know, overcoming that fear is what it suggests. But there's a cool little exercise. If you, I mean, a lot of times we don't want to make certain jumps in our life because we're afraid that it's not going to work and we're going to go broke. We don't want to make certain jumps in our life because we're afraid that it could affect our relationship. You know, and a lot of times you feel like you know what you should do, but you're afraid to do it because the fear stops you from doing it. And it holds us back. And most of the really, really successful people that I know, I always say they're fearless. They are not looking at what could happen or this could happen or that could happen. They're literally looking at the positive things, the successful outcomes. And that's what this suggests is, so whatever your biggest fear is, like I'm going to use Reggie, Reggie's was going broke. So because of his fear of going broke, he probably made a lot of moves that held him back. Even though he was very successful, it still held him back. So, fear happens when you visualize an unsuccessful outcome. Nothing really even happened to you.
It's so true.
Nothing happened. You're just afraid of what could happen.
I'm afraid of failure again, and you already see it in your brain, and so you already failed.
Right. And I think that happens for a lot of people. And so the exercise in here is how to tweak out the fear.
Okay.
And how to visualize a successful outcome. And whether, I don't know about you guys, but like, I remember Craig had like this lump on his neck, and he was freaking out, and Margaret's freaking out, and everybody's freaking out, because, oh my God, what is it? Is it, is it cancer? Is it this? Is it that? And everybody's freaked out. And then he goes over to the store and they pop it, and it's a giant zit. You know what I mean? But
we'll say an ingrown hair. It
whatever.
Sounds nice.
But the point being that, like, but what happens whenever anything happens is we go straight to Google and we Google something on medical, and we're all scared. Oh my God, I could be dying. That says that I have this. Whatever.
We all have COVID now. If you have a headache,
you have COVID. Right? If you have a headache, it's the fear.
Yeah.
And so we just have to realize that, the things that we're afraid of, other people have already overcome. And since we're all part of the same species, as far as I know, we're all humans. That someone else has had those same fears and just bowl right over them like a bowling ball through the pins.
That's good.
So, we just have to address that fear.
I like it.
Can I say something real quick?
I would love you to, Adam.
I'm a guy who's got like high anxiety and I worry about a lot of stuff. And my brother told me something that has stuck with me forever when I'm feeling really stressed out. He says, statistically, 99% of your fears never come true. And that's stuck with me, and it's something I always remind myself. Yeah, 99% of your fears don't come true, Adam.
I love it.
Anyway, just wanted to throw that out.
Well, and some people, at the same time, Adam, like some people, and even in this business, I mean, if you think about it, the majority of people, and Jenny, we know this, the majority of people that start out in real estate, out of 10, I think our statistics are higher than others, but how many of them don't make it?
Yeah.
A large percentage of people that get into the real estate business don't make it. And I believe that they're so afraid and there's so much fear that they manifest that into their life.
1,000,000%.
And they get frozen and they don't go prospect and they don't reach out and call people and text people and create a system of value that they're mailing out and they're so frozen by the fear that they may not make it that it just encompasses them and they fail. We've seen that a million times. Very capable people.
Yes.
And the fear of failure is brutal. So we just have to visualize ourselves. What do they say? Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. Or face your fear and do it anyway. So we're going to fake it and we're going to face it.
Right.
There's a new t-shirt.
And that really is the key. And those people that come in and just act like they've been doing this for years are the most successful.
Totally.
So anyways, okay. So another suggestion is, and this is kind of scary, and I would agree with it.
Okay.
All right. Jenny, most of your fears, and everybody on this call, most of your fears have their roots in your childhood.
I know.
Most of your fears have their roots in your childhood. Do you agree, Adam?
Of course.
And usually something that happened, a feeling that you had, like, I watched my parents go broke. I watched them lose their house. I watched, we went to Texaco gas station because the only credit we had left was on the Texaco card because to get milk. You know what I mean? Like, I will never forget those things. And so now, just like most of you guys out there, I have this crazy over the top inherent fear of being poor too.
Yeah.
And that's just these little hangups that we get through our childhood. I mentioned before, the little moments, when you think of the fears that you have right now, can you trace them back?
Well, no, and I need to because this is so embarrassing. I'm going to say it. So the other day, Jeremy goes, "Did they withhold food from you?" Jeremy's my husband. Did they withhold food? Did you go hungry?
My God!
I can't believe I just said that. But I'm like, I don't know. Did they? I don't think so.
Now give me that sandwich.
No, shut your mouth. Give me your sandwich. No, I don't know. But that's like, I don't know. I need to do work.
Did they withhold food?
Did they? And he was serious. Well, he wasn't being in.
Well, and I don't know, is Tom Wysocki on the call?
Yes.
Well, Tom, I was thinking about, if I may, if you don't mind sharing, like when Alexei first came over from Russia, right? Wasn't there wasn't there some habits and things that happened with him that, you know, went back to when he was very little, like under his bed and stuff like that? Do you mind sharing a little pieces of that? Because I think that really, and obviously he's overcome that, but I mean, that was a powerful story when you told me that, Tom.
When we brought Alexi home, because he'd been in an orphanage, he had never had anything. So he would hoard. And like bananas, oh my God, we found dead banana peels around our house for months and months, hidden away in places we didn't even know we had. It was incredible. Just, you know, be rude, they didn't have toilet paper in the orphanage, you know, things like that we had to overcome. He wasn't very good with utensils, you know, things like that. Yeah, there was a lot of, he would sneak around, you know, like at night through the house, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because, you know, based on, you know, for him, you know, he was just a product of his childhood and a product of the situations that he had at that Russian orphanage, you know, and I think that's kind of like a, you know, just a little bit of a, you know, a higher level than what we deal with.
Right.
But the bottom line is that we all have those little hangups too. I mean, you know, and figuring those out. I mean, I talked to a lady a while ago, you know, and she was just, I talked to her like 3 times just trying to make sure that I was normal, you know. I know when I talked to a counselor and stuff, and within 20 minutes she was back in my childhood, you know, and I was talking about things that I hadn't talked about in 40 years, you know, and it's just right after it. And you just go, wow. And she goes, that's why, and you're like, wow, the connection is insane, you know, and we all have that somewhere in our brain. So anyway, so fears are rooted in our childhood, and, you know, but the other thing is we pick up problems. So when we watched our mothers or our parents or our teachers or authority figures, you know, kind of stress out or whatever attitudes and things that they said to us also impacted us on the way up, you know, as we were growing up. And as adults, it says that, you know, most people think that our problems stem from the way the world treats us, right? That's what we would all think, like, oh my God, I can't believe this. But really, it's the pattern of how we've learned to approach those problems that makes them problems. Because if you have a different mindset, there really is not, it's not about how the world's treating us. It's about, you know, how we react to it. And so seeking resolve is just figuring out where you came from and retraining your brain. You like that? You get it?
I love it.
And so the suggestion, and I actually might do this, I thought it was interesting, was to take a piece of paper. Here's the exercise. You take a piece of paper and you draw a line right down the middle of the paper. And then on the left side, you list out all of your fears.
Oh.
What are they? And then on the right side, what's the first step to overcoming that fear? And whether or not this will work, because some of these fears are so deep-rooted that it's going to be really hard to get out of us, especially at our age now. But on the right side, write down the steps. But here's what I thought was cool. So if you list out all the fears that you have, maybe it's money, maybe it's relationship problems, maybe it's that my kids aren't going to like me if I tell them the truth, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And then you put them all in order and you prioritize them, is what it suggests. And now you know these are my fears. And just by identifying and knowing that these are your fears, it's going to help you be more successful down the road in dealing with future things because you know what's holding you back. So that's the section Seek to Resolve.
Seek to resolve.
Seek to resolve. Seek to resolve. How are we doing on time? 10 minutes. Okay. So the next is about making changes. And this is my favorite thing. And I want to open it up a little bit too. But making changes is really about, if you knew you had 1 year to live, you got 1 year. You got 365 days. Next year, January 11th, Jenny, you got to go. What would you do differently in your life? And this is a big question.
Not much.
Really? Really? I mean,
I wouldn't worry about exercising, that's for sure.
You wouldn't worry about exercising? Oh, boy.
That was the wrong.
You're like, hey, that food thing I got, I don't care.
I don't care anymore. I'm just going to spend time with people who I love.
Right. But, you know, I mean, don't you think that's a good question, though?
That's a wonderful question.
I mean, would you just charge up all your debt and just leave it all at Jeremy and take out of here? Or, I mean, like, what would you do?
Well,
you know?
Of course, it's not even 10, so I've had a good day, in all honesty. Just check in at 5 tonight. We'll see if I need to change that.
Right.
But I want to know. I want to know what people think.
I do, too. So and I don't know. And, you know, the cool part is the content, happy people. You know, but I think I actually don't believe that, Jenny. I think
I'm
that
trying to think.
if you
I would
had a
probably-
year, I do believe there would be some different
I
things
would
that
be
you would
more.
do.
I would make sure I'd spend more time with my son. My girls are close. My boy, he's in Reading, so
So that's important to you,
yeah.
right?
Talked to him this weekend about. Don't you want to move home? Don't you want to move back down?
Did you?
Yeah, he said no.
He said, no. You want to be here by me? No. I mean, so
Yeah, so I guess you're right.
And
there
I-
are things.
I just, and so part of that is, I think when we reset our New Year's resolutions, I think that's kind of the same thing. Like, what
Okay.
stuff do you really want to get done this year? And that's what I want to ask you guys, like, what is your biggest 1-year resolution this year? And I kind of like to hit up a few different
Yeah,
people.
tell us, people.
And hey, Fonza, I always like talking to you, man. Like, and I really want to know, like, when you set out your goals, and we did that goal setting last week, and all that sort of stuff, like, what were some of the big things that hit you, that you put out there into the universe that you want to change this year?
That I want to change is probably it's the mindset, just kind of hanging in there and just knowing if I keep planting seeds, things that happen to kind of get to my main goal, which is 24 houses sold, which kind of comes down to me helping people out.
Right. And it really is the seeds that you plant.
And the thing is, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Nope.
it just comes down to, like, if I do that, money opens doors, which helps me out with my whole passion and everything. So
Agreed. And I asked a couple different people from the group, Rob, what stuff they did, and in the call on Friday, which I don't know if you were on it, the guy who's like the kingpin of real estate, created Prudential California Realty and stuff, he just said so many times in his career, he's seen people do, and I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to, everybody out there, but he's seen people that have to put in all this work and planted all these seeds and done all this stuff only to literally before they're getting ready to lean at the tape, jumping out of the business. You know what I mean? Where they're just about to hit it, and I know Vicky Carpenter, if you don't mind sharing, and we've talked about this before, is she still on?
I'm on. Yes,
Vicky,
ma'am.
do you remember, do you mind, because Vicky, I think of all the people in this company, and I'm talking about, I've been in the company, you and I have been here, together, Vicky, for probably 23 years, if not more than that. And you have always been in the top 10. And I'm talking about when the market was in the pit, when the market has been at the top, no matter what, Vicky has always adapted. And I would say of everybody in this company, and we've been around for a long time, no one has been a better real estate agent at adjusting and making the changes than Vicky Carpenter. And I'm not sitting here kissing your butt, Vicky, I'm telling the truth. So, but would you mind sharing, Vicky, your story of how you got started in this business and, overcoming your fear and the commitments that you made?
Sure. I usually give it to NATO, but I'm happy to share it with all of you. And really, it was, my husband was an attorney. And so a lot of people kind of thought on the outside looking in that we really, financially we were fine, but in reality we weren't at all, because he had alimony. I was working as a paralegal at the time, and the alimony that he gave his ex-wife was more than what I was working. So when I got into the business, I wanted to do it for flexibility and be more visible in my daughter's life. And to do that, I had to take a line of credit out. When I started in real estate, I didn't realize that I had to put out a check of the investment was about $2,500. I needed a computer, I needed to pay dues, I needed to pay for my license and all the things that go with it. You all know what I'm talking about. And so I took a leap of faith and a line of credit out on our home to do that and to get started. At the time, it was really financially a burden for us. And truly, I don't think I had my first escrow until almost a year into the business.
A year.
And then a couple after that. And by the time I was on my full stride, it was probably 4 or 5 years. But and at one point, I exceeded my husband's income. And pretty much thereafter, all the years after I did, I was pretty consistent in that. But it took time, and I worked it like a business. I was at the office every single day, and I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I realized that the flexibility that I thought I was going to have was not going to be there. And I re with my daughter, if you treat it like a career, you do have some flexibility, but you're working that 2 hours you take off to be, go to your kid's game or whatever, you're going to make it up at the end of the day or on a weekend anyway. So it truly is a job. It's a career, and it's something I love to do. And I wouldn't change anything.
Well, and Vicky, you're fantastic at it, and you've made, and of course, just over the last, 20 years, millions and millions of dollars. And she's done great, you know what I mean? And I just thought that was a testament to, Vicky Carpenter, right? Our director of training, CAR, NAR, all that sort of stuff. She had that fear and that doubt. I guarantee you, Vicky, during that year, you were probably freaking out, that maybe this isn't.
I thought I was crazy to make the change.
Yeah. And you had doubt, right?
Yeah. And financially, it was very, very difficult for us.
Yeah.
Because Tom's salary basically just paid the bills.
Right.
That was it.
Right. Understandable.
Yeah.
And then, I'm going to ask you too, Janie, because I and a couple people, I don't know your stories of how you got started in the business, and what took off for you and what fears you had. And do you mind telling us your story, Janie?
Sure. I had just moved here from Orange County, like everyone else, and didn't know a soul, didn't know the area. And you know what? It drives me crazy because my face is on the screen. Like, I don't know how to do exit out. Let me do it that way so I don't have to see myself. Anyway, so I had 3 small children, and I was looking for something to supplement our income. We needed something to supplement like all dual income people. And that's really how it started. And I thought, oh, real estate will give me the flexibility to be able to do that and have my own hours. And of course, really you end up working like 60 hours a week. So that's how it started initially. But what it really has happened as the decades have gone by, and I really believe that, I guess God in a way had a plan, knowing that 3 decades later, my husband started having strokes at a young age at 49. And we had our plan all out. My husband has his pension, this, but life can turn on a dime. And he started having strokes at the age of 49. He had like 8 or 9, so he had to retire early. And even though he had his pension, what we had planned for, you know what I mean, when you're going to retire at 65 or 67 because he liked his job, that income is not there. So that plan, things just change. And I really believe that way back 31 years ago, that it was destined for me to do real estate because your income is no limit. And I think that was part of it in there somewhere, knowing that 30 years later or 25 years later, I was going to need that,
Right. Right. So, it is interesting though. Again, another top producer, top tenor, and, overcame the fears at the beginning, right? Because, did you have doubt at the beginning when you first got into the business?
I've always been a pretty self-motivated person. You tell me what to do and I'll do it. And that's exactly, I'm telling you, that is the only reason, because I don't have the gift for gab for sure. So I did exactly what they told me to, exactly verbatim. And I treated it like a business. I cold called 8 hours a day for 2.5 years. I door knocked by myself. These are the old days. I just did it 5 days a week, just like it was, because it was a business. And that's after 2.5 years, that's when the referrals started coming in. So that's what I did.
Does anybody else right now think that Janie's a badass?
Yeah.
Everybody's shaking their head. They're like, cold calling for 2.5 years and door knocking by yourself. And man, that's commitment.
That is.
That's commitment. And people are concerned right now about making a phone call or to somebody they know.
Or text.
Or sending a text. I don't know, And when I get home tonight, I'm going to do it. Well, do it right now,
yeah,
right?
That's awesome, Janie.
Thank you, Janie, for sharing that. That's good stuff. And, I see Sarah Price on here too. And Sarah is having a fantastic year. And she's kind of a newcomer to our crew. But Sarah, do you mind telling your story of how you got started? Because you're cruising along good. And you know what? And you're one of the few people, and I'm just going to tell you this, and I've mentioned this before. And again, thank you for that, Janie. I mentioned this before, but Sarah's one of those ones, again, like out of the top 75, there's only 2 or 3 with small kids, right? And Sarah, what's your situation? And how did you get started? And how did you overcome those fears? And what worked for you? Do you mind sharing that?
Okay, so I always talked about, so I actually went to design school after high school, and I have a thing with design. But then when I graduated, I got sucked into my dad's company. Anyways, he's retired now, and so I kind of don't work there much anymore. So I just challenged myself, and then I honestly don't know. I feel really lucky and blessed this past year, but yeah, it's hard with the kids being on virtual, and today they're back to virtual. So yeah, I don't know.
How long have you been in the business?
I just did my renewal, so I guess this is my 5th year.
So you've been selling for 5 years. Okay. All right. Well,
yeah, and then the first year I only did one. So.
That's what I wanted to hear. Okay, so your first year you did one sale, and like, did you have any doubt that like maybe you shouldn't stick to this business, or did you know that it would work, or how did you overcome that fear when you only did one deal in the first year?
Yeah.
Well, I got to work over the voices, because I still have that fear too. But it's weird. I don't know. But yeah, I just got really lucky with spirit and influence, and then yeah, it was actually like 8 months into it that I got my first lead.
The part that I'm interested in right now, did you hear what she said? She only said it like briefly, but she said I had to work through the voices.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on that too.
Yeah. So when you say work through the voices, you mean the voices of doubt that were in your head?
Yeah, there's always doubt. I don't know, especially when you get denied and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've done it and it's paying off. And that's what I want all the newer people to realize is that, one sale in her first year, Vicky Carpenter didn't get one for a year. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us, that's just kind of the situation. You know what I mean?
Stay the course.
Stay the course. Yeah, for sure. So anyways, the question would be that, what changes if you did have that year, and I think when we reset those resolutions and all that stuff, that's really what it's about. But if you did, and this is what the book said, and it reminded me of what you just said. Mm-hmm. And by the way, thank you for that, Sarah. It says, would you stop worrying about how you looked? Mm. That's the first thing you said, right? Mm-hmm. And would you stop worrying about what other people thought about you?
Oh, no, I would not, because I would want my legacy, like we've been talking about.
Okay.
I think legacy is very important.
Would you do something different, a different career?
I love this. No.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's pretty great, right?
So no, it's pretty great because I get to help people.
Would you say no to others and yes to yourself on some things? Would you start doing things for yourself, or would you put it out there to
others? If I only had 1 year, though, to be with people, I'm going to be with myself forever. But when you go to, I don't know.
That's all right.
I'm going to think about it, guys. You all think about it.
That's all right.
If you figure it out, let me know.
And then the last thing it says is, identifying those things that you would do in that year just helps you clarify what you want to do for the rest of your life. And that's really what it's all about. It's just clarifying the things that are important to me. Hey, I wish my son lived down here. I wish I was a little closer to him. I made a lot of commitments this year too to family members and things like that. But anyways, so that is it. It's been 1 hour.
Wow. Thanks, guys. That was a great hour for me.
Yeah,
I did a lot of counseling. I appreciate it.
And Janie, Vicky, Sarah, everybody on the call, thank you so much for contributing.
Yes.
And, really you never know who you're touching at that moment. And sharing your story is a responsibility, especially, you guys that are doing well. You have a responsibility to share your story and pass it along, pay it forward, right? So thank you guys for being on the show. Have a great week. Don't forget we have our sales meeting this Thursday, and it's also going to be kind of a business meeting at the same time, a little ramped up. So we will see you Thursday. And everybody get out there. Have a great week. And thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Chuck,
Someone's saying Chuck.
Yes,
Can I promote training this Wednesday?
Go for it.
Please. Yeah, we have follow-up boss on Wednesday at noon with Erica Wilson. So, yes.
Oh, hey, everybody needs to be on that call. Brian, Janie, hey, Rob, we need to call. I mean, that's a big one. Thank you. We need to put out
what is it again?
Follow-up boss.
Boss.
Oh my God, it's a fantastic program that talks about, when a call comes in, how fast did you get back to them? How do you track them? And it ties in with some services that text people back, they call people back, automated.
Nice.
So thank you, Vicky. That's a good one. Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Does anybody have the list from Miss Vargas on Friday that she put out?
Did anybody print it? I can get it for you, Rob.
Okay.
I can get that for you. I'll give her a call.
Yeah,
Actually,
get it.
If it's cool with you, I'll just text you her number and you can give her a call. Cool.
Can I make a quick announcement too?
Yeah, go ahead.
We've called a few agents, and they just want to remind them that the kickoff awards will be on the 28th, and it's an evening show. So
Correct.
Just wanted to remind everyone.
And it's for the whole family.
It's for the whole family. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be
much fun.
like the holiday party.
You thought the holiday party was fun? This is going to be 10 times better, baby.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So thank you very much. Thanks, Vicky, Follow Up Boss. I'll make sure we get some promotion out there for you. Thank you guys all for participating, and have a great week.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you. Bye, Jenny.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.